I want to bring something to your attention that I think is really important. If you visit almost any church or Sunday school, you'll find that most of the time, most of the effort is spent to reach the adults. But I want to remind you that I call childhood the open door, because a little child almost always, if they're presented the opportunity to accept Christ and really understand it, they're going to do that. But the youth I call the closing gateway, because with young people, they have a lot of hang-ups and it's much more difficult for them to accept. And then I call manhood the barricaded entrance. We try and reach folks when they're an adult, and all the chances where they could have much more easily accepted Christ have already gone by. So I encourage you to work with not just adults, but work with the young people and also with the children. And when you do it, you've got to remember that we're reaching a time in history where everybody is becoming more visually oriented. We're becoming a more visual society. People under 40 are almost totally visually oriented. I suppose a lot of that is because of television, but we like to see things, so you need to explain things visually. For example, I talk about accepting Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. Well, what does that mean? What do I have to do? Well, I believe in God. Well, let me use a little story that's a true story of what I found in El Salvador. Most of the folks in Central America don't have cars, so they have to take the buses. So there are a lot of buses, but they have bus stops. Everybody knows where the buses stop for folks. Sometimes they have a sign there that says that, but sometimes they don't. But the folks will know where to go, but the problem you run into is that any one of these, there are a number of different routes that come by each one of these stops. And if you take the wrong bus, you're not going to get to where you want to go. So you have to know, and most of them already know. So let's say Peter here he needs to go to the Central Market to explain what a step of faith is, because we say, well, you know, I believe, but have you ever accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior and been transformed in that moment by the Spirit of God? Let me explain that you have to do more than just believe in God. You have to do something about what you believe if it's going to be effective. And Peter goes to the place of the bus stop to explain what I want to explain to you, and he waits there. And now down in Central America, the folks don't, on those buses, the bus driver, he's not going to stop if nobody's going to take his route. So they watch the people, and if the people see, hey, that's the one I want to take, they wave their hand or do something to indicate they want to take that one. So then the bus stops there. Now let's say that the bus stops, Peter sees, that's a bus I want to take. So he gets there and stands there, and the bus stops, and the bus driver opens the door. And Peter can say, I believe with all my heart, this bus is going to take me to the Central Market. That's the one that goes to the Central Market. I believe with all my heart. But you know, he can stand there for 15 minutes. He can stand there for half an hour, an hour or 2 or 3 hours. And he'll never get there unless he not only says, I believe, but that he takes a step and gets on the bus. He's got to do something more than just say, I believe. He has to, once he believes, standing there, he has to take a step and get in that bus door and get on the bus. And when he does that, he's going to get to his destiny. Each one of us in life reaches a point where we hear about Jesus Christ, but a lot of times we don't do anything about it. We just say, well, I believe in God. But that's not going to get you to heaven. The only one that can get you to heaven is Jesus Christ, and it's when he comes into your heart and transforms you and makes you a new creature in him. And when he makes you a new creature, you're going to be ready to go to heaven because you just took that step of faith, I like to call it. Not only believing, but take a step of faith, accept him as your personal Savior, and in that moment you're transformed, made a new creature in Jesus Christ, and you're going to get to your destiny. I hope you make that step. If you haven't done it before now, you need to do it now, to open your heart and take that step of faith and accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. God bless you.